Yeah, we back. Now today's gonna be a quick video, right? Yeah, it's gonna be a follow-up to a situation that we've been keeping track of for some time now, for a few months, and that is the ongoing economic and diplomatic battles between the military government in Mali and the billion-dollar multinational corporations in the mining sector. Now, recently, back in 2023, I believe it was, President Assimi Goïta, General of the Army Assimi Goïta, he had came out with a new set of laws governing the mining sector. And usually what that means when a country comes out and revises the mining code, that usually means that the government wants to come back to the negotiation table. We want to review the financial records. We might want bigger revenue and a larger amount of control over domestic operations. Most likely what that means is a higher ownership percentage. You probably want higher royalties also. You probably got some back taxes. If you got back taxes you got to pay, yeah, we need them taxes. That's basically what that means when a country revises the mining code. And basically since 2023, President Assimi Goïta, as well as his Minister of Finance, have been chasing down the multinational corporations, right? Been chasing them down, all over the goddamn world. Take a look up on the screen. I believe this article came out back in November. Mali says Barrick Gold owes $500 million in taxes and fines. Then, back in December, Mali issues an arrest warrant for Barrick Gold CEO. Now, Barrick Gold, that's the second largest gold mining company in the world, by the way, right? So keep that in mind. Now, before we continue, man, you already know album is out now. Album available everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. Go to the homepage on my YouTube channel, my playlist section. Sahel 1816. Album out now. Go enjoy yourself, man. Now, let's get back into it. Now, of course, after issuing an arrest warrant for the CEO of the company, now, for whatever reason, instead of turning himself into the authorities, right, he decided to go on the run for a few weeks, right? And in fact, I did a reaction video to an interview that he did, right? So while he was on the run, right, while he had an arrest warrant out for his arrest, he was doing interviews on YouTube, listen, it's crazy. So anyways, he went on the run. We didn't know where he was at. Everybody was looking for Mark Bristow, CEO of Barrick Gold, Mark Bristow. We didn't know where he was at. So in the meantime, while we were trying to figure out his location, take a look up on the screen. Mali seizes 3 tons of gold from Canadian company Barrick amid dispute over share of revenue. So right, they went down to the mining complex, right? Because this guy was hiding under the bed, right? He was hiding in the closet. So they went and confiscated hundreds of $millions worth of gold from the mining site. And of course, once you confiscate a large amount of gold such as this, you have to put it somewhere. So of course, take a look up on the screen. Mali is holding the seized gold from Barrick at the state-owned bank. Now, by the grace of God, we have found Mark Bristow. We have located the CEO of Barrick Gold, Mark Bristow. Take a look up on the screen. Barrick signs a deal to end the gold mine dispute with Mali, right? The miner is waiting for Mali to approve the deal. So these guys have finally come out from hiding. They have finally come out from the shadows. They finally came out from under the bed, and they have decided to pay their taxes. They have decided, listen, you are correct. You are right. If you remember, at first, the company was denying the allegations. Listen, these are unfounded allegations. These are trumped up charges. These are false charges. If you remember, that was the same exact thing that was said by the CEO of the other gold mining company, Resolute Mining, right? The CEO of that company was also arrested, and he later on also paid over $160 million to settle the dispute, right? So these guys, oh yeah, these are false charges. These are unfounded allegations, but you still ended up paying the money. So if these were really false charges, why would you pay such a large amount of money on false allegations? It's because you were the one giving out false allegations. You were the one telling lies. Now let's continue. Barrick Gold has agreed to pay $438 million to settle its long-running conflict with the Malian government. The Canadian mining company has reportedly signed a deal and is awaiting approval from Mali's authorities. According to an exclusive report from Reuters, an official announcement could come as early as Thursday, but last-minute hurdles could still delay it. Now, if you remember, back in early January, top of the year, I did a video when this headline came out. Mali is set for a huge $1.2 billion payday from the mining sector, right? From the mining businesses. Now, keep in mind, that number is only talking about the first quarter of the year. The first quarter of the year, $1.2 billion from the mining sector. Now, when you add this payment from Barrick Gold into the mix, that's $1.6 billion from the mining sector. And that's just for the first quarter of the year. See, that's what happens when you revise the mining code. That's what happens when you establish a new set of laws governing the mining sector. Shout out to President Assimi Goïta. Now, let's continue. I want to go behind the scenes, right? Take a look up on the screen. How 2 former employees are driving Mali's hardball talks with Barrick Gold. Now we're going to learn about some of the individuals who was in these negotiation rooms going back and forth with the multinational corporations. Let's go. Mali's military government, which in December seized 3 metric tons of gold from Barrick worth about $245 million, had given the mining company until Saturday at midnight to respond to his demands, according to 2 sources familiar with the situation. But the deadline passed without either side announcing a breakthrough. Mamou Touré and Samba Touré, key members of the government's negotiation team, both used to work in Mali for Rand Gold, a mining company that is now part of Barrick Gold. So time out. Here you got 2 brothers who actually work in the mining industry. And not only in the mining industry, but they actually used to work for Barrick Gold, right? They were Barrick Gold corporate employees back in the day. So here you have 2 black men from Mali who used to work for the very same company they're now negotiating against, right? These guys went to school. These guys already know the ins and outs of the industry. They know the ins and outs of the company. They know how the company structures their contracts. They know the loopholes they use. These guys are essentially insiders into the inner workings of Barrick Gold due to the experience they obtained by working for the company for several years. This is why we need black men in every sector, in every industry, right? Go into the industry, learn the ins and outs of the game, right? And then come back and bring that knowledge back to your brothers, man, so we can outmaneuver the opposition. And this is also the importance of the diaspora, because in this situation, this is 2 guys from the diaspora who are now coming back and bringing the knowledge and expertise back to their country. Now, let's continue. The dispute has ramifications for global miners and other foreign investors who poured billions of dollars into West Africa and are now forced to play by a new set of rules as the military governments of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso seek a bigger share of mining revenues. The standoff with Barrick is a snapshot of just how far military governments in the Sahel are willing to go to compel foreign operators to comply with the new regulations that align with the pursuit of resource nationalism. Reuters spoke to more than 20 people, including mining executives, consultants, diplomats, and people with direct knowledge of the talks to form a picture of the negotiations. The sources requested anonymity because of the sensitivity of the situation. The 2 Tourés are among a small group of key players on the Mali side, which also include military government leader Assimi Goïta and Minister of Finance and Economy Alousseini Sanu, according to 9 people familiar with the matter. The 2 men, while they share a surname, are not related. Samba Touré, the older by decades, was the more senior of the 2 at Rand Gold, where he was West Africa Operations Director. Mamou was underground manager for the Lulo mine. Wait, so time out. So 2 of the brothers that's negotiating on behalf of the military government in Mali, like we said before, both of them used to work at Barrick Gold. So apparently Barrick Gold used to go by a different name called Rand Gold. And they said Samba Touré, he was higher up in the hierarchy in terms of his position at the company, where he was West Africa Operations Director. And Mamou Touré was the underground manager at the gold mining site in Mali for the company, working for Barrick Gold, right? So now the brothers are working on behalf of the military government in Mali, using the expertise they gained in the industry, now working on behalf of their brothers in the government. And in fact, take a look up on the screen to the left, that's Mamou Touré right there. And I believe to the right, that's the minister of the mining sector, right? So as you can see, shout out to the brothers. Now let's continue. It is Mamou who is now the more influential negotiator for Mali, due in part to his close relationship to the powerful finance minister, Sanu, right? So that's the brother right here, right? Mamou Touré. Like I said, he used to work for Barrick Gold. Then he went and started his own company. And he was the one who won the contract to audit the mining companies, right? To audit the mining sector. And he was the one that sat down with the finance minister, went through the financial records. They realized that the white man was engaged in criminality. So we had to chase him down. We had to go get the money. Now let's continue. It was Mamou's consultancy, Ivensis, that won the contract to audit foreign mining companies in Mali, which led to a new mining code in 2023 and renegotiations of the miners' contracts. Samba now works for him at the consultancy. It is Mamou who is currently the boss, said one person who formerly worked with them both, adding that Samba's experience and technical knowledge was nevertheless crucial in decision making. The decisions come much more from Samba than from Mamou. In response to Reuters' detailed questions, Mamou said that for decades, gold production had not benefited the people of Mali as it should have. Mali is Africa's second largest gold producer. It is only natural that the state asks for rectification, he told Reuters. The state has made a great effort to reach an agreement, which is why all the other companies have reached an agreement with the state. When no payment came, 4 employees were detained in late November, and Mali issued an arrest warrant for Barrick CEO Mark Bristow on December 5th. Right, like I said before, the majority of companies that were audited, they agreed to the new terms and conditions and the new laws governing the mining sector. It was only a handful of companies that wanted to give the government a hard time, right? Resolute Mining, the CEO got arrested, paid $160 million, right? Barrick Gold, at first, they weren't trying to pay either, right? Had to put out an arrest warrant for the CEO of the company. But eventually, as you can see, even they came back to the table and agreed to pay $438 million. Now, let's continue. In early November, Bristow told Reuters that the company had offered Mali 55% of the economic benefits from the Loulo-Gounkoto mine complex, similar to an agreement that the miner had struck with Tanzania about 5 years ago. Now, if you remember the president of Tanzania, the previous president of Tanzania, John Magufuli, rest in peace to the ancestor, we gotta pay respect. We gotta pay homage and show love and respect to President John Magufuli, God rest his soul, because he was the pioneer, right? He was the originator, right? Before the Brothers in the Sahel came about, he was the one chasing down the mining companies. He was the one, chasing down the multinationals. And unfortunately, the good brother, the good elder, he died under mysterious circumstances, man. Rest in peace to John Magufuli. Let's talk about President John Magufuli chasing down the multinationals, chasing down the mining companies a few years back. Let's continue. Now, remember, I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, but if I did, I would have been talking about this. Let's get into it. This article came out 7 years ago. A brutal lesson for multinationals. Golden tax deals can come back and bite you. Let's get into it. Mines are long-term investments, but relationships between mining companies and governments are often tense and impatient. Governments fear that they'll be ripped off by the multinational companies, while the companies worry that governments will hold their assets hostage. Nervous companies seek contract terms that allow them to recover their costs as quickly as possible. However, this leads to taxes trickling in while exports are beginning to flood out. The risk is that governments see their fears confirmed and threaten to rip up the contracts. Tanzania's President John Magufuli has been leading an effort to tackle corruption, squeeze mining companies for higher revenues and royalties, and to ensure that processing takes place inside the country. He's also been pushing for more Tanzanians to have jobs within these firms. In March, Tanzania banned the exports of minerals as part of this move. The Tanzanian government asked Acacia Mining, a subsidiary of the world's largest gold mining company Barrick Gold, to pay approximately, now look at this number, $190 billion. With a B, in revised taxes, interest, and fines. Now, see, John Magufuli, he was on another level with it, right? See, the brothers in the Sahel, they just, listen, $500 million, listen, just pay, a few hundred. See, John Magufuli said, listen, I need about $190 billion. Rest in peace to the ancestor, John Magufuli, rest in peace. Let's continue. Now, unfortunately, a few years back, President John Magufuli, he passed away under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was COVID-19. Some say it was, high blood pressure, heart attack, cardiovascular issues, health issues, whatever it was very mysterious, very strange, but he passed away at the age of 61 a few years back. Rest in peace, President John Magufuli. Definitely one of my favorites on the continent. This is before I came on YouTube, but before I came on YouTube, I was definitely a passionate follower of President John Magufuli. Now let's continue. I want to jump into some old articles so you can see how the Western media was slandering President John Magufuli when he was chasing down the multinational corporations, slandering the black man. Let's continue. They said this: Tanzanian President John Magufuli is dragging the East African country deeper into authoritarianism, right? So they, already off the bat, dictator, black man dictator. His first term consisted of assaults on Tanzania's political opposition, civil society, and the media, as well as nationalist economic policies that stifled foreign investment. His second term, emboldened by his October 2020 re-election against the backdrop of voter suppression, pretends a tightened grip on information, increased alienation of foreign businesses, and a deepened isolationist stance, especially as Magufuli cast doubt on the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, as you can see, just slandering the black man in the media, acting as if he has zero positive qualities to speak about. Anyway, let's break it down, right? Now, right off the bat, the first sentence in the article: Magufuli is dragging the East African nation into authoritarianism, right? Basically by saying that due to the fact that he was asserting greater control over the Tanzanian economy and Tanzanian politics, right? Not allowing outsiders to have so much of an outsized influence, right? You are dragging the nation deeper into authoritarianism, right? But look, when they do the same thing in their countries, right? When they want to maintain greater control over their economic and political levers of control, right? They say we are simply preserving stability. But when the black man does it, he is an authoritarian. Also in the article, they said, Tanzania President John Magufuli, he was launching assaults on the media, right? The media and the opposition. Meanwhile, in Western nations, they do the same exact thing. They don't allow Chinese media or Russian media to have an outsized influence in their nations, right? We saw them try to ban TikTok. We saw them ban African Stream. They said, African Stream, you are Asian of the Russians. We are banning you off the internet. We are banning you from the United States, right? But when the black man does the same exact thing, all of a sudden, we are attacking the media. We are attacking democracy. We are attacking opposing voices. Ha! Ridiculous. Let's continue. When they said Magafuli's so-called nationalist economic policies are stifling foreign investment, right? Which basically means that John Magufuli wanted to assert more control over the economy. The government wanted more control and wanted to have more of a say on how business was conducted inside the country, right? He wasn't allowing his country to simply be used as a vassal, as a resource colony for Western investment, for Western extraction. And because of that, they had a problem with that. They tried to, nationalist economic policies, authoritarian policies, right? Trying to slander the black man for doing what was in his best interest for him and his people. How dare the enemy? Now let's continue. Now, let's get back to the brothers in Mali. We paid homage to President Magufuli. Now, let's get back into it. When the government announced its plans to audit the mines, Mamu won the consultancy contract with his firm, Iventus Mining. It was Samba Toure who directed the audits. After Mali created a state-owned mining company called SOREM in 2022, Samba was named as the chairman of the board, with Mamu appointed as the director. The influence of the Toures is not unchallenged, however. Last summer, military government leader Assimi Goïta grew frustrated with the negotiations and brought in the director of state security, Modibo Kone, one of the 5 colonels turned generals who lead the military government. A second source confirmed Kone's involvement in the talks. Now, once again, salute to President Assimi Goïta, His Excellency, General of the Army, General Lame. Shout out to the big dog, man. Shout out to the big homie, man. Now, keep in mind, the $438 million is simply the offer that was made by Barrick Gold, right? So the military government in Mali still has to review the terms and conditions and then, give their response as to whether they're going to accept the offer. But this is where it stands right now, right? After over a year of negotiations, right? This person getting arrested, that person getting arrested, right? Mali wanted $500 million. Barrick has came back and said, listen, we can't do $500 million, but we could do $438 million. And that makes me wonder if they're in a similar situation as the other gold mining company, Resolute Mining, in terms of their cash reserves. Because if you remember, Resolute Mining had agreed to pay $160 million, but they only had $157 million in their cash reserves, right? So I'm wondering, because this is a very strange and specific number, like 438. It's so very specific. So I'm thinking, are they in a similar situation as the company Resolute Mining, where they're giving up the majority of their cash reserves in order to pay off this debt? I'm wondering. I don't know. And I'm also curious about the fate of the CEO, Mark Bristow, because just like Resolute Mining, the CEO ended up, he quit the job, right? He quit his job at the company. So I'm wondering, is Mark Bristow going to stay at the job? Is he going to be fired? Is he going to resign? I'm curious what his fate is, because the company has went through very turbulent times in the past year during these negotiations. You had an arrest warrant put out on your name. I mean, I'm curious what's going to happen to him at the company. But in summary, man, you can add about another $400 million onto this price tag, right? It said Mali is set for a huge $1.2 billion payday from the mining sector, right? So now you can add another $400 million and make that $1.6 billion, right? And keep in mind, that's only for the first quarter of the year. Only for the first quarter, $1.6 billion coming directly from the mining sector. Shout out to President Assimi Goïta. Shout out to his negotiators, Mamu Toure, Samba Toure. Shout out to the Minister of Finance, Aluseni Sanu. Shout out to my brothers, man. Let's get it. Now, it's your boy Neferkari Desalegn back in the building. Yes, indeed. Album out now. Album available everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. Go to the homepage of my YouTube channel, my playlist section, Sahel 1816. Album out now. Enjoy yourself, man. Support the album. Support the channel. Cash App in the description. And I'm gone. Peace.
Told me she loved me and said that it's real. So independent, ain't signing no deal. Feel like a king and I'm up at Cap Henry. I'm in the citadel, top of the hill. Trying to run up and we let off a cannon. Secret location, I'm keeping it sealed. You ain't retaliate, Franco Medina. Came to the country and he got killed. You ain't retaliate, Rafi Mans. Thought you was loyal, thought you was real. Didn't even want to come pick up the body. Had your man locked up, he died in the cell. Up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Right on the south and I'm giving them hell. And my little shorty, she looking exotic. African features, she casting a spell. Run to the check like I work on my fitness. Wake up each morning and handle my business. Say that she love me, she want my genetics. Wanna get married and make it official. Wanna get married and have my babies. Up in the city, I'm riding Mercedes. Up in the city, they treat me like royalty. Feeling like Dolph, talking about lords. Spreading my wings and I had to get fly. Up in the top, an incredible vibe. Came from the bottom, I'm up in the sky. Gave one look and said, baby, you fine. Wake up each morning and handle my business. They just be talking, you see me, I live. Ride on my enemies, sounding like thunder. 1804, got that shit in my spirit. 1804 when I step in the building. 1804, that's word of my mother. Rock my women and die for my brother. Never gonna fall when I'm deep under pressure. Tell them we back and they they better accept it. Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine. Pour up a drink and it's time that we toast. Watching my back, keep my enemies close. Only the family, I stick with my brothers. Cannon's position outside of the coast. Heavy artillery for the protection. Move like a general, stick to the code. Feel like a king when I'm up in the north. Beautiful women, they trying to get chose. Launch an invasion all over the south. Capture the capital with all my woes. Look at my energy and my demeanor. Dripping that ice and that's head to my toes. Lately I'm flexing all on the Americans. Flexing my muscle on missing my road. Just got a carriage, just coming from London. Boy, that shit cash, I ain't taking no loans. Boy, that shit cash, that's fresh on the boat. Enemy know I got millions in gold. Enemy know I got choppers and cannons. How did I do it? They can't understand it. How did I do it? It's cause I'm relentless. Call me King Harry, my name is cemented. Call me King Harry, I'm up in the palace. Call me King Harry, I'm raising the status.